Well, Super Bowl 48 is set. There's a foot of snow outside. Will the same happen in New Jersey for the Super Bowl? Will it be terrible conditions? And frankly, I hope it does. Anyway, well, got both my predictions wrong last week. What else is new? I don't know what the fuck happened this year. Jesus Christ, last year I had 2 predictions wrong the entire postseason. 2! And one of them was picking Seattle over Atlanta and they covered the spread, and one was I picked Minnesota over Green Bay. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking there. Oh, that's right. It's because their quarterback was out. But anyway, picked the Ravens all the way through to the Super Bowl. Picked that correct. This year I got like 6, 7 picks wrong already. What the fuck? Oh, what a difference a year makes. Go over my review of the AFC and NFC Championship games here, and then second half of the video, like what I did last year, I'm going to go over, I have my list here of the teams that, where I picked them to be at the end of the year, and we'll see just how off I was, and you guys can point and laugh how greatly off I was, but I'd like to see you guys do better. But anyway, so, AFC Championship game. I said last week that the New England Patriots were never going to lose a game again because of what they did to the Indianapolis Colts. I thought that there was no rhyme or reason why the Colts should have lost that game, because New England is frankly been doing so much with smoke and mirrors and replacement guys and starters getting injured and getting arrested for homicide and shit like that. And it's like who are these guys? Like, you look at the roster of New England, like, who are these guys? These are the guys that just win. They got 12 wins this year. But as this game against Denver proved, and I tweeted out during the game, New England had no right being in that game, and that is evident now because you can only do so much with smoke and mirrors. And that's exactly what happened. They ran into a team just outclassed, outmatched them. And we'll get to the classy part as far as Welker goes in a second here. And it was just such an utter and thorough domination by the Broncos, specifically from not so much what the score looked like, but what the time of possession looked like. You could see Brady on the bench just looking depressed every single time the Broncos got the ball back, because he knew another 8 to 10 minutes are going to be ticked off the clock. And when you have an offense that's doing that consistently throughout the entirety of the game, you will not stand a chance to win unless you're scoring a lot and scoring quick. You just cannot stand with a team that is ending drives with at least a field goal. And Denver just dominated that game. That game was over by the second quarter. And I even tweeted out as much. I said, this game's over. And one of the reasons why the game was over was when Talib got injured. That was the absolute last big playmaker that the Patriots had on defense. That team is just so decimated. Like I said, they can only do so much with smoke and mirrors. When you lose one of those last big pieces that gives you a shot in standing up a team on the defensive end of things, you just can't compete anymore. Once Talib was out, and once Denver already put up 10 plus points, the game was over. And it's a shame because it was a pretty boring game from there, because you just saw complete control from Denver. And I personally don't like games like that, unless it's my team doing the controlling. I thought it was a very boring, dull game because of that, because of one team just dominated their side of the ball so much more than the other. Late points that didn't even matter from New England, trying to make it competitive. That was a game where once you got halfway through the second quarter, you just had the feeling the game was over. And that not even the immortal Peyton Manning, who chokes in the playoffs all the time, could fuck up this one. And going to what I said about outclassing them, and what Belichick would like to think it was one of the most classless plays he has ever seen in the NFL, when his former boy, Wes Welker, ran that pick play on Talib, and Talib ends up getting injured and remains out for the rest of the game. The fact that Belichick said that was one of the worst plays that he's ever seen in his career, when he himself has given orders to Welker to do that to secondary guys while he was in a Patriots jersey, is just so fucking laughable. That this guy is going to come out and it's all clear what it is. It's just sour fucking grapes that this guy's excelling on his team when he didn't want to be on his team anymore. Welker packed his bag and took it to Denver and said, fuck you, I have no respect for your team, Bill. I'm going to run the same pick plays that you told me to run in New England, and I'll do it to one of your guys. And it's a shame that Talib got injured. I'm not saying that, Welker had absolute intent to injure him. He had absolute intent to pick the fucking shit out of him very stiff. But to say that Welker, he's deliberately trying to take out one of our only playmakers left on defense. Oh, shut the fuck up, Bill. You had Edelman running the same pick play routes during the AFC Championship game, too. Shut the fuck up. It was just unfortunate that Talib got injured on the play. And you're getting very, very little sympathy from anyone around the league, coaches or fans alike. Fuck you, Bill. Anyway, and just one last thing I want to say about this game. Actually, two last things I want to say about this game. Everyone that wants to point and laugh at the Patriots and go, this is the 10th year in a row or whatever it is since Spygate and you couldn't win the big game, proves you can't win without cheating. Now, I know that is a monkey on the back of New England fans and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, because they want to prove that they can win in the post-Spygate era, because people are going to have that little asterisk in their mind, whether it's legit or not. I might say, like, you bring up Spygate or something just for the sake of rivalry, but do I honestly believe that Spygate was the reason why they won 3 Super Bowls? No, I don't. And they beat my Eagles in one of those Spygate Super Bowls. I think it was something that a lot of the teams in the league did. They got caught. They took it a little bit too far and were stupid enough to continue doing it when their offensive coordinator went to the Jets and saw that they were still doing it. And, sorry, I got something under my contact. But, If Spygate and them spying, stealing signals, reading lips, all that shit was the difference in them winning and them getting to Super Bowls and all that shit, then post-Spygate era, you would see them winning like 6 to 8 games a year. But this is a team that was consistently winning 10, 11, 12 games a year, getting back to multiple Super Bowls, getting back to multiple AFC Championships, just like they did this past week. The Patriots are just a good coach team. They get the best out of their talent. But what you saw last Sunday was just, they can only do so much with smoke and mirrors, and everything caught up to them. All the tight ends that got arrested for murder, and the tight ends that got injured, and the starters that are out, etc., all that caught up to them. Had nothing to do with Spygate, and everyone pointing out, bringing it and laughing, blah, blah, blah. Now, the other thing I do want to point out in this game, and I think this is huge going into the Super Bowl, is that this depleted, decimated Patriots defense held Denver to 4 field goals. 4 field goals. Denver had no problem moving the ball, killing the clock, but once they got past the 50, got in the field goal range, they got stalled. They got stalled quite a few times, and the fact that they had to kick 4 field goals against a completely decimated defense and couldn't punch it into the end zone against that team, that is a bit of a concern, if you ask me, because what do you think this lockdown Seattle defense is going to do? Once you get in the 50 or once you get in the red zone, they're not going to let you score. Now, Denver, however, is a big play team. They're a team that's going to get a big play, get that big 50, 60-plus yard pass from Peyton, etc. But it is concerning to think that this defense that is just so dilapidated, shoddy, just a mishmash of players thrown together, held Denver to 4 field goals. That is of concern to going into the Super Bowl. So everyone that thinks that, Peyton's just going to just march down on Seattle willy-nilly and do whatever he wants with them, you might have another thing coming to you. Because look what this Patriots defense did to this team. They held their own. And look who's on the Patriots defense. And then look who's on the Seattle defense. Exactly. All right, speaking of Seattle, San Francisco came into Seattle into the windy weather of, what the fuck, it was a clear day, it was beautiful weather, and like in Denver, it was 60 degrees. What? 60 degrees in January? What the fuck? In Seattle, it wasn't raining? I didn't know it couldn't rain in Seattle. What the fuck happened? Anyway, I honestly thought San Francisco was going to win this game now. Goes without saying that. I don't like Seattle's fan base, mainly because they celebrated winning the Super Bowl before the season even started. Hell, there was that guy that he's famous now because he's getting all over the news and stuff. He had Super Bowl 48 champs and the Seattle Seahawks logo tattooed on his forearm. He had it tattooed on his arm before the season started. And like you see the news reports, it's like, brave Jack Smith took a chance this year of getting... And I'm like, brave? He's a fucking idiot. Oh my God, if this was done in Philly, we'd be fucking strangling this guy. It's like, what are you doing, you motherfucker? We're a franchise that's been to one Super Bowl ever, and you're gonna declare us to be the Super Bowl champs before the season even fucking starts? And the fact that their fan base isn't fucking furious about it. And yes, I know, not every single one of the Seattle Seahawks fans are these just people that are just standing with their pom-poms and cheering the Super Bowl win before the season even started. But the fact that they're not loud enough to be heard and bury out this voice of the few that is making their fan base an entire laughingstock is fucking shameful. And that is why I cannot fucking respect a team whose fucking fans celebrate a championship before you even win it. Fuck Seattle's fans. They're right there with the Miami Heat fans that fucking leave a game 6 before the game's even over and miss a big comeback. That's what I fucking think of the Seattle Seahawks fans. But that aside, I fucking love how this Seahawks team plays. I fucking love a menacing defense, especially a menacing secondary. Seeing a guy like Richard Sherman make the biggest fucking play of his career in front of one of the biggest receivers in the game right now, and fucking do that jaw-jacking thing that you heard me talk about in the video I made earlier this week. I love seeing Earl Thomas, even though it kills me that Howie Roseman fucking passed on drafting him. Fuck. I'll never get over that one. That's just a fucking... I would love to see Earl Thomas on this Eagles team. Jesus Christ. Tell you what, though, I'd love to see Welker try and run that pick play on Earl Thomas or Richard Sherman. Oh, do you think they would have the same reactions Lee would have? They might just turn their hips and fucking blow their spot right the fuck back up. So, oh boy, I hope Welker tries to do that to one of those guys in the fucking Seahawks secondary. Oh, I hope they try. Anyway, I thought San Francisco was going to win this game on that final drive. It was just looking like it was going to be that 1-point defeat, and I was like, Kaepernick has to have in his head, he's got to be precision, and he cannot fuck up. Now, I know going into that 2 previous drives or a fumble and an interception, I'm like, what's the odds he's going to have a 3rd fucking turnover in a row? Well, apparently the odds are very good because he did just that. Oh, Kyle Kaepernick. Whew. That's inexcusable. 3 fucking turnovers on your final 3 possessions. Inexcusable. I know it's hard to put a loss of a game on one player, but Kyle Kaepernick kept that team from fucking winning. Now, I know you could say it's like, well, what could he do? That Seattle defense was just that fucking good. Well, you have to be that much damn sure. And a good quarterback that deserves to be in the Super Bowl will find a way to kneel in a pass, not take a risky pass with 2 secondary guys covering your best receiver. Not to mention, one of them's that guy, oh, what's his name? Richard Sherman, the best fucking corner in the game? LOB, motherfuckers! By the way, LOB stands for Legion of Boom. A lot of people don't understand why he said that during the... Anyway. Oh, and to a lot of the people that were sending me messages, and like I had to delete a number of comments because there's a bunch of just ignorant comments dropping N-bombs and calling Richard Sherman a monkey in that video I made and sending me messages. That dumb monkey is a guy that graduated from Stanford University with a 3.8 GPA, got his degree, didn't opt out to come into the NFL his junior year, stayed in college, got his degree, had a very high GPA in high school as well. So before you call someone a dumb monkey just because they're some black guy with dreadlocks and he talks thuggish or whatever, do an ounce of research. Because you'll find that he doesn't fit that prototypical mold that you want him to fill. He's a motivated guy that self-motivates himself. He's a guy who sees himself as a villain and embraces it. He doesn't want people to like him. He doesn't want the guy across him on the line to like him. He wants to fucking make a play in his face. He wants to shut people down. And he wants to brag about it. Good for fucking him. The guy is a fucking beast. If his worst offense is running his mouth, and he's not out here committing murder, homicide, not knocking up 10 different women, I'll take that guy on my team any fucking day of the week and twice on Sunday. So, that little side note there aside. Another thing about this game, and while I don't think this was the deciding factor in the game, but the blown calls by the refs in the playoffs, more so in this game than any other, are inexcusable. They've got to do something about this. Because when you have a goal line play, Lynch has the ball, and it's not like the ref's eyes are spread out. The ball is starting on the 1 yard line. Everyone is looking at the line. And Navarro Bowman gets a clean strip, has full possession, and like you're watching on TV in real time, it's like, oh, that's a fucking turnover. Even if it's reviewed, it's gonna stand up, and then it's like, it wasn't called a turnover on the field? It's a non-reviewable play because it wasn't called a turnover on the field? And on top of that, Navarro Bowman gets his leg broke, his ACL and MCL torn on the play because he gets rolled up under a pile. And all that effort, and he doesn't even get credit for making, at that point, is a huge, huge fucking turnover. Now, I know everyone's going to say, well, it doesn't matter because, you know, Lynch ends up fumbling on the next play and San Francisco gets the ball back on a failed 4th down attempt to rush into the end zone. But the point is that how could the refs not get that call right? How could the refs blow that call, which would have gave San Francisco a 1st down on a drive that Seattle gets the ball back and gets a touchdown, when the punter's planting foot gets hit? When San Francisco's punting the ball, it should have been a 15-yard penalty. The rule is pretty much crystal clear. It's like, you see Harbaugh going, his planting foot was hit. It's not a 5-yard interference. Anyway, just those 2 plays alone, just to make you go, what the fuck is going on? How are the refs not seeing this? And how are the refs just reinterpreting what the rules are? Anyway, again, I think Seattle would have won that game besides those 2 things. But could I think that Seattle could have possibly lost that game because those 2 plays going the other way? Possibly. That's the thing. I don't like coming out of a game saying, well, god damn, those refs' calls might have possibly done it. And as I said, like, I tweeted out during the game, you know, I'm not one to cry about refs deciding a game, but San Francisco is getting fucked. And they absolutely did get fucked. But again, not to cheapen a victory, because Seattle earned that victory. And San Francisco single-handedly lost that game for themselves with those 3 back-to-back-to-back turnovers they had on the 3 final drives. So Seattle deserves to be in the Super Bowl. And, you know, just to take a moment here, Seattle proved me wrong. This was a team that I honestly thought they were going to be decimated when they lost their defensive coordinator coming into the season. I didn't see Russell Wilson putting up as good a numbers as he did. And I didn't even really see this team as a serious playoff contender. And it just goes to show you that this is a team they're just fucking motivated. It's the right place, the right time, the right group of guys, the right intensity, the right passion. that fucking 12th man thing whipped them up into a frenzy too. That sure as fuck didn't hurt. They deserve to be in the Super Bowl. I deserve to be proved wrong. And goddamn, it's just such a fucking exciting team to watch. And the one thing about this is going to the Super Bowl, and this is what I love about football, is it doesn't always fall like this, but when you have two teams end the season ranked number one in one conference and number one in the other conference, it just vindicates the whole season and the playoff structure as legit if those two number one teams meet in the championship game. And that is what we have. Excuse me. A little hoarse. It's really cold out, people, that time of year. So, we have what are just, unarguably the two best teams meeting in the championship game. It's not like one team like, the Giants that came in with a one win over 500 roster and, went on to the Super Bowl and got, lucky or whatever you want to see it. There's none of that. It's like you can't say, oh, Denver's lucky to be there, Seattle's lucky to be there. No, this is the best of the best, and I fucking love it. That's a fucking great matchup for a Super Bowl. And who do I think is going to win? Find out next week on my Super Bowl prediction video. Sorry. Oh, God, I got pneumonia or something. Now, let's all laugh at the Archfiend and go over his preseason predictions, though. Some of these I nailed dead on. Some of these, not so much. For the AFC North, I predicted the Cincinnati Bengals were going to win, which they did. They won their division. I also had the Baltimore Ravens being the wild card, which they're on the fringe. Almost pulled it out. One victory away from getting that wild card spot. Oh well. Not too ashamed about that. In the AFC East, I had the New England Patriots winning the division. Nailed that, but who wouldn't pick the fucking Patriots to win that division? I also had the wild card coming out of that division, the second wild card being the Miami Dolphins. And fuck if that almost came true, but man, Miami just said, we don't want to fucking compete for a wild card spot in the final 2 weeks, and they just threw in the towel. Motherfuckers. In the AFC South, and having the number 2 seed going into the playoffs, I had your Houston Texans. What the fuck was I thinking there? Oh man, now my nose is running. Houston, you have a problem, and it was just a little bit of every fucking thing. Injuries, starters not playing well, Matt Schaub being a fucking douche that throws up picks at the end of the game, and fuck. And of course in the AFC West, I had the number 1 seed being the Denver Broncos, which I nailed that head on. So, all in all, in the AFC, my picks really weren't that bad. I picked Cincinnati being the 3rd seed, got that right. Houston's not so much. Denver Broncos being number 1. And New England, I picked them to be the 4th seed going into the playoffs. But let's go to the NFC. Oh boy, here we go. In the NFC North, I had the Packers winning the division. Got that one right. In the East, I had the Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East. Just to show you, I'm not a biased douchebag Philadelphia Eagles lover. I actually picked the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East this year. But they didn't. I'm sorry, I just got to get one last laugh. And oh, of course, fuck the Dallas Cowboys. Another 8-8 season. How's that feel? In the South, going in as the 1 seed, your Atlanta Falcons. Fucking hell. Okay, and I had the wild card being the New Orleans Saints, which I actually got that right. New Orleans actually went in as a wild card this year. In the West, going in as the number 2 seed, the Seattle Seahawks. Just kidding, I picked the 49ers to win the division and go in as the 2nd seed. But, coming out of the NFC West, we have the 2nd wildcard team, the Seattle. I picked the Rams. I'm sorry, Seattle. Anyway. And in the conference championship games, I had the Broncos over the Texans and Atlanta over New Orleans. So I had the Broncos in Atlanta in the Super Bowl. Well, I got one half of that right. The other half, not so much. The other half was contending to get one more win so that they could send Tony Gonzalez off with a win, one more win in his career. Like, that fucking matters. All he wants is a ring. He doesn't want another fucking win. Anyway, and then I went on to predict in the my preseason video the Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl, which could still very well happen. But a lot of people picked Denver to win the Super Bowl coming into this year. And, well, it just goes to show you things don't always end up as you see them, because I actually had the Eagles finishing dead last in the NFC East, and they ended up winning 10 games this year. So even with my team, you know, you could say like, oh, I have a bias because I don't like Seattle or whatever. Well, it's like, well, what was my bias against the Eagles? I picked them to finish dead last in the NFC East when the season started. So anyways, I did this last year where I went over what I picked in the preseason, just to show you how grossly different things end up being. But, so, 2 more football videos left this year. One's going to be that prediction video next week, and one's going to be my Super Bowl wrap-up. And then all you guys are going to have to cry because my football videos will be done for the year. Actually, most of you are probably going to cheer. Anyway, it's going to be a good fucking Super Bowl, people. It's going to be a good Super Bowl. And it brings us the question of, what's going to win out? The dominant defense or that dominant offense? Because not only are these the number 1 seeds in both conference, this is the number 1 defense in the league versus the number 1 offense in the league. This is probably the most perfect I've seen a system work as far as sports go in the regular season and the postseason. You should have a number 1 defense against a number 1 offense. Those should be, especially if they're in different conferences. They should excel and meet in the championship game. That's what we have this year. So everyone, enjoy the Super Bowl. If you're not dug out yet in the Northeast, start fucking shoveling, because there's a lot of snow and it's heavy as shit. And I had to shovel 3 different times yesterday, so I didn't break my back all at once this morning. Have a good day, everyone. And what the hell, one last time, fuck the Dallas Cowboys. Have a good day, everyone.